remember that they're changing my voice. I'm not gay. As you know, there's a lot of movies connected to this case. Star Wars, Tears of the Sun. But one of them that is very key here is The Labyrinth. I've brought this up before. David Bowie, his name is a play on words for Dave I.D. and Ebo. Ebo is scrambled into the word Bowie. It's also we Ebo. And Hera, her name, when you look at the word share, it's Hera's scrambled. Hera's. And this also sounds like the word hair and air. And hair goes back to the bunny, the Playboy bunny, Harket in Egypt, and so on and so forth. It's not a coincidence. Harket, that bunny rabbit's name starts with the word har and is described by the Western occult. It is the idea of an evil bunny that kidnaps travelers, and we see that occurs in Sin City in Hollywood, but also occurs in the right wing. One of the main ways the West plays their game is they try to downplay the evil of the average conservative person because there's racial implications there and there's implications on the core of their agenda. So if you think about Freemasons, you think about English royals, you think about institutions, churches, they're more like conservatives even when they're left-leaning in many ways than they are like leftists. So in the movie Labyrinth, one of the main songs was "You Remind Me of the Babe." He says, "You remind me of the babe." What babe? The babe with the power. What power? Power of voodoo. Hoodoo? You remind me of the babe. And he says, I saw my baby crying hard as babe could cry. What could I do? Him singing, I'm just helping you understand what's going on here. My baby's love had gone and left my baby blue, right? The color of the Crips, right? Scripture, Crips root. Nobody knew what kind of magic spell to use. He says slime and snails. And there's a connection there to this case, but out of respect to the person, I'm not going to explain that. Puppy dog tails, that as well. Thunder and lightning, which are very key in the Bible. And then it says, and baby said, and they say dance, magic, right? And they're singing dance, magic, and so on and so forth. Now, why is this significant? Because my ex-fiance's screen name on Yahoo was Original Babe. And they had a kind of, we were an African-American chat, what have you. And they had a chat group called Gangster Inc. Original Babe was like her name, something to this effect. Now, the reason why I'm putting that out there is because telling the story is more important than the conversations we had, the privacy issues, what have you. And there's a bunch of pervs in the government who are all in my business, and every time I've talked in a certain way to a female, whatever, they've watched and so on and so forth. But no matter how you slice it, they're way better dating Jesus than, say, some rich English person, some rich Jew, or Elon Musk, or anyone else. Okay, some average middle class guy. That's why the word basic is a play on words for B-A-sick. They're following the alpha sick. They're in the spirit of the alpha sick. Worship and worship and worship. And also neutral is a play on words for neutral, not a coincidence. Lukewarm is still a worm, which is the archaic word for the snake. So, also the child that the female character who looks somewhat like my ex-fiancée, but not really. She looks a little bit, she has the black hair, the blue eyeshadow, if I remember correctly. She's going after her kid named Toby, which is a T, which is a feminine suffix, and the name Obi, which goes back to Kuro Obi, meaning black belt, a sign of rank. Obi and Ebo, which is Obi spelled backwards, is King Heart Hut, Essence Center, Temple Core. And the word Ebo can also be spelled I-G-B-O, where the G is silent, and then you have the G of Freemasonry. Okay, where they're supposed to, the word Obi is also play on words for obey and observe and obeisance. Okay, and when it comes to the opposition of God, obliterate. And there's a bunch of other Obi words as well, the OBGYN, and all kinds of connections to marriage and reproduction and martial arts and so on and so forth. The obituary, right? Life and death. So I think it's very important that you see that Maya, the she was a famous artist back in the day. She's still famous to some degree to this day. Um, he's playing words for Maya and Magic Ya and so on and so forth. And her name's like Mary, and my ex-fiance's name was Mary Kate. Okay. And she swore up and down that she was going to love me and so on and so forth, and that that she loved me and so on, and then she did some potent psychological warfare on me. Now there's no time where she was on camera where she looked evil. They changed all of her pictures, and one of them they made it so she looks like a kind of bitter ghetto Puerto Rican or something, but that's not how she looked. She looked a lot more attractive than Maya. Okay, she she had different weights at times. When I first met her, she was a little thicker than when I last met her. She had lost some weight, and she was like looking better than she ever did before. And it probably has to do with her following the devil. That wasn't the only girlfriend that they did me like that with. Now, you got to realize that you're better off being single and being romantic than being with a fair weather chick. Okay? If I could rewind time and I had to kind of do it their way to be with her, then I would not have been with her. I'd rather look back at the time and say, hey, I served God, I did what's right, and infinitely so. So I've triumphed. Why, they sold out. They sold out for the whore that rode the beast, the harlot, the prostitute, what have you. The word whore is the plain words for whore, us, Jesus, G. We have the G again, Jesus. Not a coincidence. Because these people are immature, baby line, Babylon. So as you look at the wordplay, it lines up in a certain way that is undeniable. And this is another example of me taking time out of my playlist that I'm working on. And it's already thrown off a little bit to explain something that has come up because of the pattern of harassment that I've endured and the things that they're saying. Some things that are kind of good come from it. I found some old pictures while I was trying to find the pictures of my ex-fiancé. Things like that occur. I'd rather not go to my old channel. They make me mad because they edited the pictures, what have you, and try to use it as a mockery, but the moral repetition still stands. Just like some of the tattoos I have. I went there when I was in a bad state of mind. They messed up some of the tattoos, but they're symbolic of me triumphing over the enemy. The story is more important than the presentation of it, in that sense. I've said for years, it's like selflessness versus selfishness and application versus presentation. They don't really master their craft because the tree of knowledge means you know the ledge, and they're not supposed to mess with me. That's why Michael's the one who seizes the devil, casts him to the earth, and an angel seizes the devil, throws him into the lake of fire. The devil responds to Jesus' commands. They're not supposed to persecute me. This is the end of the story. They couldn't even do that right. They are know-nothings.